Hi and welcome to a new episode of my channel. Today I'm gonna give you a short review on all the modifications I did on my Multiplex custom-made Clipped Wing Funcub. I'm gonna talk about positive thoughts and the negative thoughts of all the modifications I did on the plane. Let's start at the front of the plane. First, let's have a short look at the prop and the spinner. These are not real modifications, but just parts I used and I really like on this plane. The prop is from XOR. It's a 14.7 wooden prop for electric planes, and the spinner is an aeronaut spinner with 51 millimeter of diameter, and I think these two components fit pretty nice, and the wooden prop is way lighter than standard APC plastic prop, so it also increases the performance of the plane. Then let's have a look at the landing gear. There are some little modifications I did in comparison to the stock landing gear. First are the second rods on both sides. This is just for a nicer look. The only rod you have on the stock landing gear is this one here, and it looks a bit strange with just one rod on the Funcub. So I added the second rod, also glued in some carbon tubes to make these rods movable, and I mounted them on the landing gear with some plastic dip. That works perfectly. It stays flexible and it fits pretty well on the stock rod. To mount the wheel itself, I don't like big mounts, so I decided to go with some brass parts which you regularly use to mount your servos with soft mount rubbers, and these fit perfect on the stock rod, so I glued them on the rods, and like this the wheels stay perfectly on the landing gear and the wheel mount looks way nicer than the stock mount. Next modification is the battery mount. I wanted to go back with the CG to increase aerobatic capabilities of the plane, so I decided to go from the stock position, which is underneath the canopy on the top side of the fuselage, to go back to the air outlet on the lower side of the fuselage and put the battery vertical inside the fuselage. There are some carbon rods inside the fuselage. You can see it that good now. If you want more details about all the modifications I did, just check the videos at the end of this video here. You can follow every single modification in detail in these videos at the end of this one here. So there are some carbon rods inside to keep the battery in place, also some little foams to avoid moving the battery sideways, and what I built is this carbon plate here, also to keep the battery from falling out of the fuselage, and just use a regular body clip from RC cars to fix the mount like this, and this is a perfect little battery mount which keeps the battery perfect in place. The modifications on the wing were the most difficult and most intense to build. The target was to reduce the wingspan from 1.4 meter to 1.2 meter. Finally it's around 1.19. That was really hard work to cut it down, to fit it perfect, and to get back in shape with the fuselage. So I had to do the round shape of the wing because I removed the center part of the wing and the fuselage didn't fit anymore to the wing. So I had to change the shape of the fuselage to make it fit to the round shape of the wing. Then I added the carbon rod which goes straight through the wing. The wing has no more V-shape, so you can put in a straight carbon rod or a straight carbon tube to increase the stability of the wing. And I also added some removable servo mounts so I can screw off the carbon plate, remove the servo, put back in a new servo, screw on the plate, and you're good to go with the changed servo. The servo rods I built are made of 2mm carbon, glued in with CA glue to the rod ends, and also the rudder horns are made of 1mm carbon. And also an important change is that I don't have any flaps on this plane, just have the whole rudder as one aileron rudder. Like this, I also can do more aerobatic maneuvers than with the shorter ailerons and with flaps, which are the original setup of this plane. A very important modification for the look, but also to make the whole wing way stiffer, is the carbon rods I installed on the wing. These are 4mm rods, and on the wing and on the fuselage I had to install 1mm carbon mounts to screw these rods into the wing and into the fuselage to make the whole wing super stiff and give it that nice scale look. This is how the wing looks from the top. You can see the clean shape of the wing. I really like the zero V shape of the wing. Like this, the plane looks more like a real plane. I don't like the look of the original Funcub with the extreme V shape, which make it look like a toy. And you can see the center of the wing, which is pretty clean, no strange cuts or something. So I'm really happy about the result of the clipped wing modification. I didn't like the original position of the elevator and rudder servo. The original position is in front of the fuselage. You can see here where I put some foam inside the fuselage to close the holes where the servos are mounted originally, and all the way down or back the fuselage I installed the carbon rod just to make the whole fuselage a bit stiffer. And on the rear position, like you can see it here, I added 2 wooden frames to screw in the servos, so I can remove the servos just with losing 2 screws and put in new servos, which make it also way easier to remove or replace a damaged servo. And you have also the possibility to go back with your CG with mounted servos like I did it on this plane. The servo rods for rudder and elevator are also carbon rods, same as on the aileron solution. And for elevator I also installed a carbon custom-made rudder horn. For rudder there was no need to do a custom-made rudder horn just because the original one fitted perfectly. Then let's have a look at the elevator itself, which is modified in a pretty experimental way. I wanted to add some surface to the elevator. The original shape is just like this, and I added inside the elevator, I added this part to the moving part of the elevator, and like this have more surface for the elevator, so for more extreme maneuvers. Regularly you have this additional surface on the edge of the elevator, and the reason why I tried to do this solution is because the positioning here out on the edge was pretty tricky, because it was easy to damage this part of the foam elevator. So I tried this solution. To be honest, it works good, but the standard or traditional solution on the edge, the additional surface on the edge, works a bit better. The plane flies a bit more stable. So for a third build, if there will be a third build, I will go back to traditional solution for adding some surface to the elevator. To make the whole elevator a bit stronger, I added some carbon stripes which goes straight through the whole elevator to both sides, and also the center of the moving part of the elevator. I added some carbon just to make everything as stiff and strong as possible. The modifications on the rudder were not that spectacular. The most important thing is this rear wheel, which is not really a wheel but only 1mm carbon plate. But the reason why I built this is that the stock wheel, which comes out from here, there is a steel rod inside the hinge, and this breaks pretty easy. So I wanted to have a solution which is strong, which doesn't break, which doesn't bend, and I decided to put in this carbon plate. I think it doesn't look that bad, and at the same time it makes the weakest part of the rudder, which is this part here, also stronger. Then I had to cut out the hole for the elevator way bigger, just to make it possible to move the rudder and elevator to these extreme angles without any touching of rudder and elevator. What I changed for rudder, elevator and aileron is that I installed real hinges on all rudders, just to make the movement of the rudder more easy for the servos, because the stock solution with just foam hinges makes the movement of the rudders a bit heavy, so the servos need more power to move the rudders in extreme angles. So that's the reason why I changed on all the rudders to real hinges, like you can see it also here on the aileron. Last but not least, a few words about the design. One thing I changed is the window stickers. The original sticker have strange shiny effects. What I use is a simple black foil, which in my opinion looks way better than the stock stickers. For painting the whole plane, I used the original Multiplex silver color, which works perfect on Elapor. Then I put it on some chrome foil to make the edges of the wing and the rudder look a little bit nicer. And I also ordered some custom made stickers just to make the finish like it looks now. On the lower side of the wings, I added some stripes just to increase the visibility in the air, just to also make it easier to decide if the plane is upside down or in regular flight position. So, short conclusion of all the modifications I did on the plane. I really like the whole plane, how it went out. I like the modifications, I like the look. The only little downside is the elevator solution. It doesn't work bad, but it's not the perfect solution. But I think it was worth just to try it, to see how it works. It works okay, but I think traditional solution will be better for 3D maneuvers. But I'm really happy about the look, especially also the clipped wing solution and the whole plane and the design, the color scheme, and everything looks pretty nice. This is already all about modifications on my Multiplex Clipped Wing custom-made Funcub. At the end of this video, as already mentioned, you can check all the details of all the modifications I did on this build. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good time. Happy flying. Bye bye.